Imagine this. You open your favorite social media app, only to find an endless stream of perfectly curated lives, trending hashtags, and relentless commentary. Within minutes, you're bombarded with ever-changing expectations, be it beauty standards, political correctness, or fleeting rules about what's considered socially acceptable. Zoom out, and you'll see that history is rife with moments of rapid social upheaval. Think of the Industrial Revolution, uprooting traditional rural lifestyles, the Civil Rights Movement, tearing down entrenched structures of inequality, and the sudden rise of remote work, flipping decades of workplace norms on their head. Emile Durkheim, one of sociology's founding minds, called it anomie, a state of normlessness that arises when old certainties break down faster than new ones can take their place. We're embarking on a historical journey through some of the most dramatic periods of social transformation, from the Industrial Revolution to our hyper-connected digital age. Understanding anomie might just help us make sense of the world we're hurtling through today. The Industrial Revolution of the 19th century didn't just change the way humans worked, it fundamentally altered how we lived, thought, and related to one another. In England alone, the urban population rocketed from just 9% in 1800 to a staggering 62% by 1900. Entire communities were uprooted. Centuries-old traditions shattered. The rhythm of life, once dictated by the steady pulse of agrarian routines, now ticked to the unforgiving march of mechanized production. Social structures began to crumble as traditional roles were disrupted. Men, women, and children faced harsh, new realities in industrial labor. Emile Durkheim, one of sociology's founding figures, began investigating these dramatic societal shifts, particularly focusing on rising suicide rates in industrialized Europe. The rapid urbanization left many feeling adrift as traditional bonds of family and faith weakened in crowded urban centers. Durkheim introduced the concept of anomie, a state of normlessness where usual social guidelines no longer applied. His 1897 book, Suicide, A Study in Sociology, formally identified anomie as a sociological phenomenon, linking social disconnection to mortality. Durkheim's insights transcended the Industrial Revolution, providing a universal framework for understanding society during times of profound change. The 1920s roared with prosperity, a decade of soaring stock markets, technological advancements, and the promise of endless opportunity. But in October 1929, the illusion came crashing down. One day, people were toasting their success, and the next, they stood in bread lines. For many, it wasn't just about losing jobs, it was about losing direction in a world that no longer followed familiar rules. What did it mean to be a provider when jobs were impossible to come by? What role could a father play when he was no longer the breadwinner? Divorce rates fell during this time, not because social ties strengthened, but because people simply could not afford formal separation. In cities, petty crimes spiked as individuals scraped by for basic necessities, while rural communities witnessed brutal competition for land and resources. Building on Durkheim's concept of anomie, Sociologist Robert K. Merton introduced his strain theory to explore the relationship between individual behavior and societal pressures. When society's cultural goals became unattainable due to structural barriers, individuals resorted to alternative means or abandoned them altogether. Communities fractured in certain areas, while in others, they coalesced in acts of mutual aid, organizing charity drives and food distributions to survive. The same fractures appear in moments of modern economic instability, like the 2008 financial crisis or the COVID-19 pandemic. From the breadlines of the 1930s to today's digital side hustles, the collapse of stability often triggers the destabilization of shared values. The 1960s Cultural Revolution wasn't just a decade of change, it was an eruption of culture, values, and norms unlike anything the world had witnessed before. Across the globe, old ideas about authority, tradition, and social roles were being questioned, reshaped, or outright rejected. Rapid advancements in technology and media amplified these cultural shifts. A 1969 Gallup poll captured the extent of this divide. 4% of Americans acknowledged a stark generation gap between parents and their children. Institutions that once epitomized stability faced widespread scrutiny, from government agencies embroiled in the Vietnam War to religious organizations grappling with declining memberships. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were hard-won victories, but they also marked seismic shifts in societal structures. Hippies, anti-war activists, and civil rights advocates built solidarity through marches, sit-ins, and festivals like Woodstock, which became a symbol of new forms of expression and connection. The emergence of feminist and LGBTQ+ movements, alongside a surge in environmental activism, signaled a broader shift in how people defined community and solidarity. The 1960s illustrated that rapid cultural change often divides societies before it reunites them, creating new movements that embraced more inclusive and expansive views of community. If the Industrial Revolution fractured traditional rural life and the 1960s shattered conventional societal values, the digital revolution has taken this fragmentation to entirely new dimensions. Our daily lives, professional identities, sense of community, and even financial systems are now mediated through screens, algorithms, and digital connections. As of 2024, with over 5.2 billion social media users worldwide, digital platforms have become places where social norms are rewritten and dismantled at unprecedented speeds. Studies show productivity has increased by up to 22% in some cases with remote work, yet it contributes to the detethering of professional identity. While virtual communities like Reddit forums or Discord servers offer specialized networks, they often lack the relational cohesion of shared physical spaces. The internet now doubles the size of human-created data roughly every 18 months, flooding us with more input than our brains are evolved to process. Cryptocurrency and blockchain-based systems have radically subverted traditional norms of banking and investing, promising decentralization, while introducing new forms of volatility and confusion. The digital revolution offers boundless tools for connection, productivity, and financial independence, but it also exposes the cracks in our shared humanity. Across history, periods of rapid change, economic, cultural, or technological, have profoundly affected social norms, from the Industrial Revolution to the digital age. Each historical transformation has illuminated Durkheim's concept of anomie. When societies fail to provide moral direction and collective purpose during times of change. Modern trends like remote work, social media, and decentralized finance mirror past disruptions, but operate at an unprecedented pace. Social media erodes geographical boundaries, while paradoxically increasing feelings of alienation through performative connections. Looking ahead, we face profound questions about AI replacing human labor, climate-induced migrations, and evolving governance systems. The solution to anomie lies in regrowing social roots through new systems of engagement, robust institutions, and collective meaning-making. Communities that foster inclusion, accountability, and connection have proven to be antidotes to the fractures induced by change. Disruption and stabilization are cyclical. Societies falter under change, struggle to redefine values, but ultimately find equilibrium. Questions to ponder. Can you identify areas where norm breakdown has left gaps? What modern examples of anomie do you see? Let's shape the future, not drift through it. Engaging with these challenges is our first step toward confronting modern anomie